No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Pow day.
Dude, let's go.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Bronco Nation? Happy Friday. Welcome on into a live edition of Bronco Nation News here at BroncoNationNews.com. We got a Boise State basketball game tonight, so we brought out the big guns to break it down for the next 42 minutes or so. We got John Mallory, KTIK, 95.3 The Ticket, and we got Jay Tust, sports director over at KTVB, and it's a shame that you guys don't like each other. This might be a little rough 40 minutes, so we'll try to get through it here. How are we doing?
You said 25.
25 for what?
Just kidding. 25 minutes. No, BJ. Going to be fun. Appreciate you, or you should appreciate me working around your schedule. Didn't want to get in the way of you and Coach yesterday, so appreciate Jay for letting me hop on and, steal some of his airtime today. I know that's going to be a bummer for him.
Never, Johnny. You're the most entertaining man in Boise. We all know that.
Well, first of all, multiple things on that, Johnny. I offered you the chance to come on yesterday when I had Spencer on, and you were the one that said you'd rather come on today with Jay. You also told me you cleared it with
being
Jay.
Nice.
You also told me you cleared it ahead of time with Jay, and when I mentioned it to Jay yesterday, he had no idea what I was talking about. So
he hadn't seen the text yet.
Hey, at least we're off and rolling here today, boys. Happy Friday, everybody.
That's a Jay classic. That's a Jay classic, Johnny. He won't return your text, but you can see him tweeting away, so you know he's on his phone.
Every time, man. Every time. 7 p.m. tonight, Extra Mile Arena, a Friday night BSU hoop game. Hoops, whatever it is. And Tyson's running out of home games, which is kind of sad, but I don't care who the opponent is tonight. It's a Friday night, Boise, Idaho, Super Bowl weekend. Let's get to the X and congregate with some hoops and, watch Tyson go for 20 and 10 or something. Huh, fellas?
Jay, you were joking about it in one of the text threads yesterday, but there is about 3 or 4 inches of snow on the ground here that I'm sure people are already deciding they're not going tonight, unfortunately.
No. Hopefully not. Like Johnny was just saying, you got 4 more opportunities to see the best basketball player in Boise State history take the floor at Extra Mile Arena. And I know that maybe there's a little bit left to be debated in terms of that status, but come on now. The guy's been to 3 straight NCAA tournaments. He's got a chance, maybe if they finish strong, to go to a 4th here. He's going to threaten the all-time scoring record, especially if they win a game or two at the Mountain West tournament. I mean, he's going to get the scoring record. So they might not even need him to win a game or two. I don't know, but you're running out of time to watch one of the best to ever play, if not the best to ever play, men's basketball at Boise State.
But he may get that 5th year. I heard you talking to him about that. Come on, Jay.
Yeah, I think that's just that is a wing and a prayer at this point. I know the NCAA is debating it. It certainly seems like there'd be some guys that would definitely give coming back a thought if that goes through. But I think the overall interpretation of that right now is that it's probably inevitable that it happens, but they don't know if it happens in time for the current guys to benefit from that, which would be an absolute bummer. I mean, I don't know if there's a team in the Mountain West or on the West Coast that would benefit from that more than Boise State would, because it would mean that Alvaro and Tyson could potentially return for that bonus 5th year. But again, I don't know if my hopes were high at right at the turn of the new year that maybe they get it figured out. But as this lingers on, I just don't know if it's going to happen in time.
Would Omar Stanley qualify there as well for that 5th year, Jay?
That's a good question, Johnny.
He might be there too. I do think, though, guys, even if that passes in time, just for me, I think Tyson's probably ready to move on and play professionally and do whatever the heck else he wants to do. But that would be sweet if he came back. I guess money talks, or whatever the package would be to keep Tyson for 1 more year. He'd already have the scoring record. Say they do go back to the dance, he would have went 4 times. Like, I just don't know if there's anything left, if there's any more mountains for Tyson to climb collegiately. That'd be
Jay,
a tough.
some of us actually showed up. Some of us showed up for interviews yesterday, Jay, so we were able to talk to Tyson about that. But
what is this? Is that what's going on here? Show up for interviews. I was at the golf show.
Oh, I love you guys.
Okay.
By the way, just look.
Go for it.
Yep. No, just looking at this real quick, Johnny. I don't think Omar ever redshirted at St. John's, so he would be eligible, I believe, for that option.
And I do agree that it is happening, but I agree that it's probably too late. Unfortunately, 1 year too late probably for it to happen.
Yeah, I actually talked with Tim Duryea before the Boise State Fresno State game, and he was saying like it almost seems too, like, he believes it's going to happen too, but it almost seems too good to be true for it to happen for Tyson Degenhardt and Alvaro Cardenas and maybe even an Omar Stanley to benefit from it.
Well, we had the Pavia thing where like 2 days later they just gave everybody a waiver. So they can do
that's true.
They want to if something happens. But by the way, tonight's game, I was looking at the game notes that Boise State put out. I mean, Jay, you're the stat guy. Maybe you can remember a time, but I can't remember. I put it on Twitter with the graphic, but like looking at the series history of Boise State and San Jose State, I know this is not a typical San Jose State team. They're a little bit better in some areas, and we'll get into that. But I think 41-4 or something is the all-time series mark. Boise State is a perfect 22-0 at home against San Jose State. They're 21-2 under Leon Rice. Like, if you want to find a on-paper matchup that has been dominated by one side, I know San Jose State's series history against anybody probably looks similar to this, because they've really struggled. But 22-0 at home, 41-4 overall. And again, another double-digit spread tonight. It seems like this could be more of the same here tonight, Johnny.
Yeah. This is going to be one of those programs that Boise State fans are going to happily say, smell you later. I don't have to do this anymore. Empty gymnasiums, teams that haven't been ranked in multiple decades, that just do nothing for the league, do not carry their own water, so to speak, in many critical situations. And that's not going to happen in the Pac-12. There's San Jose more so than any other school in this league. So if I don't even know a Spartan fan, but if they want to get on this chat and be like, hey man, that's, it's true, man. I don't know their added value. Bay Area, I maybe, but luckily this will end. I think this will be the last the next year as well. They play, guys, one more year of San Jose State, I believe, and then you got the new Pac-12, Jay, and like I can't think of an arena in that new league. I was trying to think, okay, what's the worst basketball environment in the new Pac-12? Is it Boise? I'm like thinking like, wow, because I'm going off like all these other environments. Colorado State, cool. Utah State, level big time. The Zoo Crew in Pullman, Corvallis, probably low. Fresno, low, but there's nothing close to San Jose in the new Pac-12. And that, I think, for college basketball fans will be a lot more appealing on the eyes, Jay. But yeah, this has just been a disaster of a series, and it's just one of those absolute gimmies every year. And if that could be part of the reason someone doesn't want to show up tonight because of the opponent, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I could kind of agree with that. I mean, it's hard to get hyped over San Jose State. It just is what it is. We heard the series record, so it's snowing outside, and you could feel perfectly fine sitting at home watching this game on TV, while you enjoy a hot beverage or something like that, and not really feel like you missed a whole lot, right? But again, as I said earlier, like your chances to watch Tyson Degenhardt are running out here, and I think I'm eager to see if Boise State can continue their home dominance. I mean, they have been flat out dominant in Mountain West Conference play so far this season. They have the one blip against San Diego State, but outside of that, their scoring margin, their net scoring margin in conference games at home is one of the greatest in all of college basketball. They've been pummeling opponents at home. So this is the one though that they you talk about games that Boise State needs. This is another one of those ones where it would be inexcusable if it's really even close, let alone if Boise State were to drop this one. I mean, these are season crushers, so that's why you got to show up. You got to make sure that you take care of Josh Aduje, the transfer from Utah State that apparently transferred just to go make sure that he could put up 15 shots a game or something like that, because Utah State had a pretty good program and he was a big piece of it last year. I think not that I'm giving advice here or whatever, but I will say, like, 14.5 points. That seems like a lot for a San Jose State team that has played. They've played in some tough road venues in the Mountain West Conference so far. They've played one of the tougher conference schedules to this point in time in the season, and they're 12-12 overall. Which, for San Jose State, that's not a bad season.
It's one of their probably 3 best seasons in the last 15 years. I'm
probably.
With you. Sorry, BJ. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say they also started conference play 0-5, Jay, and then they're 5-2 since. So I know the schedule has had something to do with that in terms of who they've played, but they have played better of late. I think they're a top 45 team in terms of 3-point percentage as well. And they got some of these guys, whether it's Donovan Yap, who was, I believe, a Fresno transfer. Latrell Davis had 30 the other night. We mentioned Uduje. Like, they just got some dudes that, like, if they see that first 3 go in, they just start letting it fly, and they got a confident team over there. And Tim Miles, we haven't mentioned yet, is a heck of a coach as well. So I don't think we're trying to hype this up and already make excuses or whatever for Boise State, as people are saying in the chat. This is certainly a game that Boise State needs to win, should win. But when you think, 22-0 at home against Fresno, 41-4, like you're favored by 13, like it wouldn't surprise me at all if they're up 4 or 5 at halftime and you're thinking, this is still a game, and then it ends up being somewhere in the 8 to 10 or 11 point range. I wouldn't love laying the 14 tonight either, Johnny. Or
Don't forget, a few years ago, man, Boise State was an NCAA tournament team, and San Jose State wasn't that great of a team, and it took a Marcus Shaver Jr. shot at the buzzer basically to knock off the Spartans here in Boise. So on any given night, if you don't bring it, you're going to be in trouble in the Mountain West Conference. The good news for Boise State is I feel like they've learned their lesson. Like I feel like those lessons now are in the past, and I would expect a very motivated, very energetic Bronco team to show up tonight. If you follow the trends, like, maybe this would be the spot. I think actually you pointed this out, BJ, when we were chatting yesterday. Like, maybe a spot for a letdown. You're coming off a big road win. It's a Friday night game. You don't know what attendance is going to be like. It's snowy outside. Like, there are some elements there where you wonder if it could be a letdown game.
I'm guessing the players get tomorrow and Sunday off. They're probably thinking, we're heading out to 6th Street after the game. Like,
yep. But I like to think that this team is mature enough and has the leadership that's just those lessons are in the past. Like they know that they can't not play at 100% tonight or any other game the rest of the way if they want to accomplish their goals. And you asked him yesterday too, BJ, talking to Leon Rice, that it's so hard to admit to get these guys to admit that they're still like thinking about the NCAA tournament or anything beyond San Jose State. And he really didn't do it until he kind of did, saying he knows that all their goals are still in front of them. And so this is one of those games they got to go get, and they probably got to go get it above that number, if you will.
Yeah, I was going to bring that point up here in a minute, but to finish on, I know at San Jose State's different. Like San Jose, beat New Mexico there, like playing, as you know, Johnny. I think you've called games there at the or whatever. That's not the arena auditorium. That's the event center.
Center.
The event center. And but when Boise State played there, in whenever that was, it was like the day before it flew down for the Fiesta Bowl. So I mean, it was literally last year. But in December, don't forget, guys, Boise State was only up 2 points at the very end of the game, and actually they had a gimme of a layup to tie the game in the final seconds that they bricked, and the guy was so wide open he didn't even realize it and missed it. But they had actually come across the 3-point line early, and the ref didn't call it, but it would have been a controversial thing there if they had scored the bucket. But either way, I mean, that's all you got to do for Boise State. Put on the tape and say, yeah, you guys barely beat this team already this year. They're decent. They're going to come ready to play. But if you do get this win, 4 in a row, 8 days off before you play. San Diego State, guys, has 2 more games after, like, they play tomorrow and they play Tuesday. Boise State will play tonight, and then San Diego State will have 2 more games before Boise State plays again next Saturday in San Diego. And I think that's the game that everyone's kind of pointing to, like, okay, the NCAA tournament talk's nice, and we'll get to that in a second. But, like, if you can, this one tonight is one thing, but if you can find a way to win this and then go win at Viejas next Saturday, which, let's be honest, this is not the same San Diego State team. We've all been chatting and watching some of these games the last couple of weeks where they've been in dog fights with San Jose, who we're talking about, and who was the other one? Wyoming last Saturday. So yeah, we'll get to that next week, but certainly you set yourselves up with a win tonight to make next week an exciting week, and then lead into what could be an exciting finish here. But we can go big picture. I also want to kind of just talk about a couple individual players here in just a second, but I do want to thank a couple of great sponsors here that make this show free of charge for folks on YouTube, including our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. Andy Rowe and Company, appreciate him. They sponsor the KTIK studios down there. Rowpaint.com, all your painting needs, those concrete coatings, interior, exterior painting. Hit up our title sponsor at rowpaint.com. Taco Bell, the Nicolason family, SON Management, they've committed over $400,000 to student-athlete scholarships at Boise State. So TacoBellWorks.com, you can apply for a job. You can find more information on their charitable giving efforts. And, the food is pretty darn good as well. The Rains boys might be making an appearance tonight at Extra Mile Arena, so I think this sounds like a Taco Bell night on the way down to the arena for Karen and the boys. To get more information online, TacoBellWorks.com. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Speaking of Tyson Degenhart, there's a branch pretty much on every corner with the easiest, that mobile eBranch online banking right there in your smartphone. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Our friends at Jackson's remind you that 25 cents from every hot dog goes to support the Horseshoe Collective at Boise State. That's 24 hours a day. You buy a hot dog, 25 cents goes to the collective, and they donated $100,000 last year at Jackson's to the Horseshoe Collective. And also, when the Broncos score 70, 2 days later, you get a hot dog, a fountain drink, and a banana using your Let's Go Rewards app for $2. So root for the Broncos to get 70 points tonight, and you can get a hot dog and fountain drink on Sunday for just $2. Snake River Pool and Spa, patio and game, thespateam.com. Online, thespateam.com, but 4 locations: Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa, been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team. You can view their full inventory online or go check out their showroom, whether it's a spa, a sauna, pool table. They got you covered. Snake River Pool and Spa, patio and game at thespateam.com. And don't forget, the Blue and Orange store has some great deals going on, some game day deals tonight. I don't know if this was previously planned, guys, but they have announced it as a whiteout for tonight's game with the snow as well. So if you need a new white Boise State basketball jersey, shirt, sweatshirt, head on into the Blue and Orange store at the Boise Town Square Mall today, or you can just go online and order from anywhere in the world. The blueandorange.store.com. I know a lot of options around town to buy Boise State gear, but if you want the best selection, the best prices, support the sponsors at the Blue and Orange store. Okay, Before we go big picture here, we can kind of do that in the final segment, I guess, but let's just focus in on a couple aspects of this team. I have no problem with RJ Keene starting and playing what he is. I know some folks, maybe don't think he should be starting. 10 rebounds again, Jay. I know we had the stat last time he had the no points and the 10 rebounds, so I assume it's never happened twice in a 3-game span. If it had only happened, one other time ever, but RJ Keene doing what he's doing, Ugbo continuing to start. I mean, the rotation the last 3 games has looked pretty similar. No Anderson again, no Lockett again. They're 3-0, so it's kind of hard to argue. But from the rock bottom moment to now, I guess, Jay, start with you. Kind of what do you make of the changes they've made, the rotation, where things are at moving forward here, kind of big picture? I hate to do it to you, Jay.
Boom. All right, let's go.
No, do him. BJ, press the button. Do it.
I don't have it ready yet, man. I got to get the hotkey ready. We got 25 minutes. It may happen again, so I'll get it ready.
Okay, so I think that this team is just more connected defensively, and it's not only the fact that they're finally getting stops; they're stringing a number of them together. I mean, you look at they've played 3 games coming out of the bye. Against Nevada, didn't make their first field goal in that game for the first 7 minutes and 4 seconds. There was a long scoring drought for Fresno State that allowed Boise State to kind of pad their lead before halftime against the Bulldogs. And then last game against UNLV, the Rebels come out of the locker room. They're down 4. You feel like they got momentum, and all of a sudden Boise State shuts them out. They don't score a single point for almost 6 minutes coming out of the locker room. And I just think that finally defensively they're playing hard, they're getting stops, they're doing what they need to, and now finally at the end of a game, I feel like I would have hope if it's a close game that they could actually get a stop that they needed to. The exact stop they haven't been able to get against Utah State or Colorado State or Boston College or any of these close games that have gone down to the wire. So is that RJ Keene playing? I don't know, but they finally got a rotation of 5 dudes on the floor that are playing hard, that are connected, and that's leading ultimately, I believe, to this recent 3-game winning streak.
Johnny, Chris Lockett Jr. played 18 minutes the last time they played San Jose State. Hasn't, barely played the last 3 games except for the mop-up duty against Wyoming. Whenever you guys were doing your show and you're saying he doesn't need to play anymore, like, what do you make of it being Anderson and Lockett that were picked as the odd man out and how that's going? And I don't know if that changes, with Pearson Carmichael's turnovers the other day, or if Lockett gets his chance. I mean, BSU Bill says Lockett needs to play tonight. San Jose State's team is fairly small and guard heavy. We need his athleticism on the perimeter to stay in front of them. Where are you at on Lockett kind of being the odd man out right now, Johnny, and just what you make of the rotation and the playing time Leon's chosen to go with here?
I guess I'm a little surprised that for whatever reason, Chris Lockett Jr. has completely found his way out of the rotation of this team. I mean, he's going to play when they're up 20, down 20, late, for whatever, unless he's had a great week of practice and all of a sudden he's going to check in early and we're going to look at each other and go, oh, okay, Chris Lockett's been practicing well. Leon's putting him in. It'll be one of those situations, but I don't know. Do I really care how the meal is made in the kitchen? If I'm a Boise State fan, no, I want to go to the tournament. So Leon, back there with your sous chefs, make me the meal that gets me to the dance, whatever that is. You don't have to show me the labor, Jay, just bring me the baby. So yeah, that's what I need in this situation. It doesn't matter for me, the parts. Now, if you'd have told me, guys, preseason where we are right now with Dylan Anderson, I would have, I don't know what I would have said. I wouldn't have thought it was possible considering the circumstances around him, but it is what it is. It happens in basketball. You guys know this. Dudes get phased in and out. There's a lot of drama that goes on, or they're pouting because they're not getting minutes, and then they have to work harder in practice. There's just a lot of those things, and I think the rotation's in a pretty good spot right now, guys. And like RJ Keene, for example, yeah, I don't mind him starting either. I just want that they have a starting lineup, and if they're going to bring out Ugbo at the 17-minute mark like they've done before, Leon's always had that guy. Remember how quick he used to bring Max in a couple of years ago before the first media timeout? Yep. Ugbo fills that role, buys a little bit of time. If there's an early foul or so, it's usually on him. Buchanan is ready to come in and then provide a different level of scoring. It's just what they're doing, and it's his decision, and so far it's working because they're winning, guys. But RJ Keene shooting 16% from downtown, shooting 20% on the season. That's what he's shooting. I don't know why people want him to shoot more. Me and Prater were talking about that one. Like, I don't care if RJ Keene shoots. Now, if you're shooting 16% and everybody in that building tells us how wonderful a shooter RJ Keene is, RJ Keene's going to get some open looks the next few games because game plans aren't going to say shooter. They're not. And he's going to have some open looks, and hopefully he hits them down. He starts knocking those things down, guys. I think this team's in a good place, and I think they're going to crush San Jose State tonight. I think it'll be a blowout.
I will just say, Jay, the one shot RJ Keene took in that last game, too, was kind of an unfair. He got the ball with 1 second on the shot clock and had to heave it up. So I don't even almost really count that as a shot attempt.
I know.
Everybody has those, though. Everybody will have those shot attempts throughout a game or a season. I think it all evens out, guys. Come on.
What you were saying, though, earlier, BJ, is that I looked up RJ's the first player in the Leon Rice era to ever play 25 minutes in a game and not attempt a shot. And man, I was already going back into, the lab to try to find, something else about, RJ playing again, 10 rebounds, no shots. And then all of a sudden, as I'm doing that, he kind of jacks up that last second three where somehow the ball found him with 1 on the shot clock. And, he just had to let it go or whatever. So it shouldn't count, but it does count. But back to Johnny's point, I think the thing that I finally appreciate is this team is a little bit predictable. If you're a pitcher in baseball, you don't want to have a predictable sequence of pitches. You want to keep guys off balance with your off speed, your fastball, all that stuff. But when it comes to this team, they're so deep into the season. I personally now appreciate that at the 17-minute mark, if there's a stoppage, we know Javen Buchanan's coming into the game, right? Like, it's no longer who's starting, who's coming in, when are they coming in, who's starting the second half, who's finishing the game. Like, for so long, they were just playing with so many lineups and so much personnel. And I think it hurt them in 2 areas. I think it hurt them defensively because they were trying to play too many guys. And I also think another area, we've expressed frustration with the shot clock at times. Like, I think by having new guys in there and new rotations, I think that has led to some bad possessions on offense. And, this is a team where they have to operate in the first 20 seconds of a shot clock, because if it gets down inside of 10, if it gets down inside of 5, they're just not a team that is very good at saving the possession when it breaks down like that. So, I think by playing a couple less bodies, you're just more consistent in your rotations. You're a little bit more predictable, and that might be the case for the opponent. But I think it's even more important for your own players and your own coaching staff moving forward.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'll say this about Pearson Carmichael, guys. We talked to him yesterday, and they didn't have to bring him out. So I give, whether it's a sports information director, Jordan Beasley, or Leon approving it, or whoever it was, like, they sent us this text the night before. What do you guys want to talk about? Let us know. And like, no offense to Tyson, no offense to Alvaro. I mean, I had just gotten a couple of those guys after the game, in Vegas, but like you talk to the same 3 or 4 guys right now on this team pretty much every game. And
mostly,
whenever you have a storyline where you can try to mix it up a little bit, you try to talk to somebody new. And unfortunately for Pearson Carmichael, the storyline wasn't necessarily a super positive one with the 4 turnovers in that game, but you throw it out there and they brought him in, and you try to start it off with kind of you don't go first question, right about the turnovers. I kind of softened it up a little bit, but then we got into it, Jay, and very stand-up kid. When you talk to him, like, you can tell at times, he is a freshman, but also, probably hasn't done 50 million interviews in his life, but he was a star player in Oregon. I'm sure he did plenty, and he's never dealt with something like this. And I just thought he handled himself very well in that situation yesterday. And he can hit some big shots, and right now you'll take the good and the bad, I guess, at times with that. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Pearson Carmichael he also probably could have been like, nah, I don't really feel like talking, but he came in, talked, gave good answers. And Jay, I thought that kind of showed something about him and this program, that they're not willing to shield guys like that. And you put it behind you and you move on to the next game.
BJ, he seemed like a freshman against UNLV. He hit the big shot, has 3 terrible turnovers, and it really almost kind of cost Boise State they sacrificed their lead, that's for sure. It didn't cost them the game, thankfully, but he didn't seem like a freshman speaking with us yesterday. I was very impressed with Pearson Carmichael, and I always know that I've always known he's going to be part of the future of this team, but after yesterday, I'm even more certain of that. He doesn't run. He was honest about everything. He was candid, and in all honesty, BJ, he didn't really even seem embarrassed about it. He just thought like, hey, learning moments. I'm gonna push through this. I'm gonna grow. I'm gonna get better. And I was really impressed with Pearson Carmichael. And as we're kind of sitting there talking to him, BJ, just like unless you're Tyson Degenhart, who somehow finds the starting lineup in the 7th game of your true freshman season and then never leaves it for the next 130 games or whatever it is. He played so much that I think the swings in his game, they weren't quite as noticeable. But right now, Pearson comes in and he gets like 8 minutes, right? And it just right now, it either seems like it is great or it is not so great, right? And so to deal with that as a young kid and figure it out when you only get a limited amount of playing time, it's something to work through. And I feel for the kid, but I'm very confident that he'll make his way through that, Johnny. But I just think like I really kind of sat back and laughed. Dude's 18 years old, and like on one possession, everybody's like, this kid, he's a shooter. What an impact he's going to make. And then like 2 seconds later, he turns the ball over and it's like, get him on the bench, So the swings are crazy, Johnny.
I was chuckling when you said that to him, Jay, too. I thought that was kind of funny because it was totally accurate, and he probably knew what you were talking about in terms of not pointing directly to Twitter or Grant. I mean, he was getting crushed on Twitter right when that happened, and by us included. I mean, those were just turnovers that couldn't happen in that spot in the game, and but he rebounded, and I liked to see. I think you said something like, "What were you feeling in the moment?" or something. He goes, "Yeah, well, I knew I'd kind of screwed myself for this game, the rest of this game."
Sounds like I missed one heck of a presser yesterday, by the way. Jeez, guys. Hell of a presser. I the Peanut Kid feels to me like I bet he was a class clown personality growing up. He gives that personality on the floor. Haven't seen as much of it off it, but feels like he's the type of guy. He has a lot of confidence. He wants to be good. He wants to be a star. He wants to get attention. He wants to wave to the fans. Like, he wants that. And, the turnovers, you guys, puppies pee on the carpet. Okay. There's nothing you can do. It's going to happen. You just have to figure out the best way to manage it and teach the dog to go outside. It happens. I mean, rookies, freshmen, there's just going to be those mistakes. You have to do a better part of managing them. And Leon and his staff have to manage. The guy comes in and he nails 2 threes. That's the second time he's done that, coming off the bench, nailing a couple of threes.
And this team needs that, Johnny. Dude, this team needs that.
Yeah, so I want that. But, dude, the turnovers, man, I know. 4 turnovers, you saw that, and I had to, like, wait, what? 4? That's tough, man. I mean, if you're going to strike out 4 batters, Jay, that's great, but don't have 5 walks to get it. You know what I'm saying? That type of deal. But I like the kid. I think he's going to keep getting better, and I'm not too worried about the turnovers moving forward. He just needs to get comfortable, and I think he'll be fine.
That was Jay, though. I mean, we all watched a lot of basketball. Not only was it 3 turnovers in an 80-second span, it was 3 turnovers where it literally led to dunks right in a row. And that place was dead. There was nobody there. It was over. And then that happens, and all of a sudden you look up and it's a 4-point game with 5 minutes left, and you're like, uh-oh. And the 2,000 fans there were actually making some noise. So kudos to the rest of the team for picking them up and finding a way to win the game. And kudos to Peanut for talking yesterday. And like I said, it wouldn't shock me if he goes out and gets some decent playing time tonight and hits a couple threes. And I mean, he's obviously shooting what someone said in the chat, almost 40% from 3 in his limited opportunities. So we're talking about this team needing some outside shooting. I mean, that's the reason that they put him in the lineup here. And to this point, when he lets it fly, he is making them at a pretty good clip.
Well, let's remember this, BJ, here for a second. So they burnt his red shirt a little over about a month ago, right? And so he became kind of now the 11th person as a part of this equation when it came to the lineup. And then all of a sudden they go through the bye and they shrink the lineup even more. And Peanut, despite being the last guy included into this team, well, he is still part of the rotation, while two guys that they thought were going to be a bigger part are on the outside looking in. So they clearly see value in what he brings. But to hear Johnny talk about him, kind of being the class clown or whatever, we might have to re-nickname Peanut Ballgame, because I feel like Johnny was just basically describing himself almost. No?
Lame.
How about this? I'm going to trademark.
No, he's an outrovert. It looked like his personality. Yeah. I think he wants the spotlight. The spotlight doesn't affect Peanut. He's cool. Sometimes it even maybe enhances him. Some people have that. Some people don't. I think he does. That's all I'm saying.
We appreciate the page view, Johnny, on the BNN YouTube channel for watching that interview yesterday.
No, I guess I was busy doing stuff.
He was working. Come on. I'm gonna
Peanut Carmichael presser, and I'm what?
I'm gonna pull a BJ Reigns here and demand credit for something if it comes to fruition. Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna get out ahead of this one. When Pearson Carmichael, Peanut Carmichael's career takes off, they need to rope off part of the student section or part of the stands, and they need to call it the Peanut Gallery.
Oh, Jay. Okay, that sounds great.
You got to have students in the student section to rope it off, though, Jay.
I get it, but they got to have they got to have the Peanut Gallery for Peanut Carmichael.
And something like, I don't know if there's a local peanut company. I mean, that company needs to sponsor it, the such and such Peanut Gallery.
Oh, there's something out there, Johnny.
Call these companies. He needs to link that up for sure.
Johnny, and BJ for that matter. Don't you remember when Andy Avalos, I think it was a season or two ago, and he's talking about the return of football season, and he talks about when you walk into Albertson Stadium and you smell the I don't know what they are, if they're cashews, some type of nut.
Some of those in the arena.
Okay, that's the company. That's the company then, because that is like, it really is one of those, like, you walk into Albertson Stadium, you smell that aroma, and you're like, oh, football season's back. So if it's in Extra Mile, there's your NIL deal.
We need to start an NIL consulting company.
We do.
Come to us. We tell you, here's what would work, because we're in the advertising business, kind of, or at least I am. BJ is too. Jay, you're not. But yeah, it'd be fun. Let's do it.
I think it's like they have like warm pecans or cashews or something up there in the.
What are those nuts, man? They do smell good. I've never had them though, dude.
Somebody going to the game tonight. Can you bring?
That
Johnny?
Was almost a hell of a quote there, Johnny. That was almost a hell of a quote.
Dude.
Hey, on YouTube, we don't go by the same rules they have on radio, I think, so in TV.
Man.
No, you can do anything on this.
Yeah. All right. Big picture, tournament, conference championship odds. We'll finish the show in the last 5 minutes or so in just a second. But first, Lithia Ford of Boise. Check them out, lithiafordboise.com. They got NIL deals with Latrell Caples, Cage Casey, Roger Carrion, some new ones coming in. lithiafordboise.com. Next time you're looking for that car or truck purchase, return the favor, support folks that are stepping up in the NIL game, like Jim Sturk and Jamie Drake over at Lithia, and lithiafordboise.com. You can view their full inventory of vehicles. Hey, Matt Boucher's got a big game giveaway going on for Sunday. Just find their Instagram, and if you predict the score for Sunday's game, you can win some gift cards and some cool prizes. No purchase necessary. Just go on to the Boucher Real Estate Instagram account and look that up, boucherrealestate.com. And again, the number one ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. And you can get more information on how to buy or sell a home with Matt and his team at boucherrealestate.com. Hey, Ridley's Family Markets, shop ridleys.com. 13 locations in the state of Idaho, the surrounding states, and whether it's Magic Valley, Treasure Valley. I know Johnny likes that McCall or the CUNA location. We've been to the McCall location as well. Ridley's Family Markets. Download their Skip app. Get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line. Transportation compliance service. Get into the trucking industry at transcomservice.com. All the DOT overweight, all the permits and things you need. You can do that at transcomservice.com. Hey, had the garlic parm chicken from Lean Feast yesterday for dinner. Loving Lean Feast and appreciate them. 10,000 plus combinations, whether it's steak, shrimp, chicken, fish, all different kinds of seasoning options, all diet options. LeanFeastMeridian.com. 2 minutes in the microwave and you're eating a healthy option, and it's just so easy. You don't have to worry about cooking or anything, and they're good for 5 days in your refrigerator, so you can order on a Sunday or Monday and have food for the whole week. LeanFeastMeridian.com. And we took a couple of voicemails yesterday. We'll play your voicemails on the postgame show if you got any tonight. Speakpipe.com/BNN. Speakpipe.com/BNN. You can leave us a voicemail, and that is courtesy of Signature Roofing, covering our community for more than 2 decades. Online at mysignatureroofing.com. Speaking of RJ Keene, they got a deal with him and some cool content coming out soon from RJ on some giveaways and things that they got going on. But whether it's a re-roof or repair, whether it's an estimate, whether it's an inspection, all your roofing needs, they got you covered at mysignatureroofing.com. All right, guys, I know the talk is early. Maybe the conference title chances is more of a realistic one right now, even if it's not that realistic. 3 games back of New Mexico, but you do play New Mexico, and New Mexico still has some tough games left. I don't think it's crazy to think Boise State could run the table and New Mexico lose 2 other games outside of the Boise State game, but obviously it's an uphill battle there for that. I think if you can get to the 2 seed, or the 3 seed, I guess it doesn't matter that much, but the 2 seed gives you a worse team in the first game, obviously in the 7, but just get out of that 4-5 game. Don't have to play New Mexico in the semifinals if you can. That's probably one of the goals right now, but you guys, I know it seems crazy, but you're starting to see Joe Lenardi at least has them back on his list of teams. It's starting to creep a little more forward. You have the Clemson and St. Mary's win, which are kind of carrying them a little bit. At what point is it the San Diego State win? Would it be beating New Mexico after that? When is it okay to legitimately look and go, okay, maybe there is a path here? Because if they run the table or maybe go 7-1, people are saying with projections at Bart Torvik and stuff that might actually be enough to get them in. Are we back in the at-large bubble, at least being possible again? Or where are you guys at big picture here with this team, Jay?
BJ, please.
I'm not quite. There it is.
Again.
Jay, you might be on mute.
I was on mute.
Again.
Jay, you might be on mute.
All right. We get it. I thought you were going to go to Johnny there. My bad. I thought you were
that
go to
was the one time. Yeah, the one time I just
I hate this show.
Go, Jay. Go, man. Come on, mute man.
I'm not quite there yet, but I'm close. And I think that just out of, natural excitement, if you go win at Viejas, you can start to dream a little. I'm cool with that, but it's not real. It's not reality until you get through New Mexico at home, in my opinion. That's the best team in the league. I was texting with Johnny after that last game against Colorado State. I don't even think it's close. I don't even think it's close right now. I don't even think it's close right now. I think New Mexico is the class of the Mountain West. I thought they were playing their best basketball in January, but now they've extended it into February. Maybe this is just who they are. So if you can find a way to beat New Mexico here in Boise, following a road win at Viejas, then now it becomes a reality. Because now you can handle the rest of your schedule. Every other game the rest of the way after that stretch, Boise State should be favored. So it's just taking care of business after that. But I think once they get through San Diego State, which I think they have a very realistic chance to go into Viejas and win this year, I do. But once they get through that, maybe the speculation starts to ramp back up a little, Johnny.
Yeah, you're not. I don't think you're going to get a win that impresses anybody of substance for me, unless you beat New Mexico. That's the only win I think you could circle on a resume at this point. I think they're going to get on a run, guys. I'm buying. I like the way the schedule is mapped out. I think they're going to go on a run here. Now, they can't win the league. And the problem is I would imagine if you take any team that's lost 3 games in which they were winning with less than 10 seconds left, you can't get those games back. You give them those games right now. What is this team? 19-4 if you give them those games back, and then you're not worried about this. So I think that's just dang it, that's too much ground for them to make up. But if you can finish second in this league, right, I think you're feeling okay to think, okay, they're going to get 2 Mountain West teams in, and you hope New Mexico handles its business in the conference tournament. They'll have a lot to play for in terms of what seed and line that they want to go on, and maybe that's in play. I do think this is going to get interesting, guys, as far as the bubble talk and the computers. We'll see if those come with it. Right now, I don't think it matters. Just keep winning, and then get yourself, like you guys said, possibly on that 2 or 3 line at the Thomas and Mack.
Now, they are number 50 at Ken Pom, Jay, right now. If you go to last year, last year's Boise State schedule, they were, number 50 at Ken Pom all the way till February 20th. So, I mean, they were in a worse spot at Ken Pom even 2 weeks from now, but they had 5 or 6 quad 1 wins or whatever it was last year. Their overall resume right now just doesn't have the quality of wins at the top. They have that Boston College loss, which is just terrible on their resume as well. Johnny, I think Utah State would be a decent win too. It's at home, but if you beat Utah State at home, the one difference though this year, Jay, is how many times have they lost their last regular season game, or how many times have they gone into the conference tournament on a negative, and then it just carries into the tournament and they're one and done and they're out. They've got a chance at a minimum, I think, to win the last 3 games going into the conference tournament this year. And that's not even counting some of the other games that are possible there. But even if you were to, lose to a Utah State at home, you get Fresno, Air Force, Colorado State. Like, either way, I think this team is going to be entering if they continue what they're doing right now and continue to play in this right direction, I think they're going to be entering the tournament on a much more upward trajectory than they have in what I can remember in a while, Jay.
Yeah, I think you're right there, and that could certainly help, obviously, once they get down to Las Vegas. But you want to compare it to last year. Boise State played 11 quad 1 games last year.
Exactly.
Won 6 of those, right? They had 9 wins between quad 1 and quad 2. And just to kind of compare that to where this team stands at the moment, now Clemson could make this different because they're right there. They're just outside of the top 30. So if they climb back in, they would have another quad 1 game, but they've only played 4 quad 1 games this year. They had 11 last year. And at the moment, only 1 quad game remains on their schedule, and that's a trip to San Diego State. So I do think their tournament resume does look quite a bit different than what it did last year. And down the stretch, there's not the same punch. I mean, they had so many quad 1 games in February last year. Now, that being said, in terms of, guys like us that cover the team, fans that watch the team, people that know the Mountain West, you get through San Jose State tonight, you get the bye, and then it is beat your chest because the Mountain West tournament arrives in the middle of February, basically. Boise State goes to San Diego State, they get New Mexico, go to Nevada, they get Utah State. I mean, that is a 4-game gauntlet that if you can't get Johnny Mallory type of jacked up for, I don't know what could appease your appetite, if you will.
Well, the last time, guys, Boise State entered the conference tournament. I know we're looking ahead here. Last time they entered a conference tournament on at least a 2-game winning streak. Any idea when it was?
I'm going to go Abu Kijab season.
You got to go back even further than that.
Wow.
The championship season in 2015.
Wow.
Almost a decade where they had at least a 2-game winning streak going into the conference tournament. So maybe this is the year they get on a roll, and we'll see both you guys tonight at Extra Mile Arena. Johnny, what do we got on Idaho Sports Talk today?
Getting ready for the Super Bowl. Our Super Bowl correspondent, the great Dirk Cutter, going to break it down for us, and going to be excited to see you guys tonight. Let's get there safely and have a good night covering the team, fellas. Appreciate being a part of
John
this.
Gruden. I look forward to that interview. John Gruden interviewed Ashton Genty yesterday. That was
Isn't that crazy how famous Genty is now? Like, I guarantee you, like, for whatever product he's pitching, underwear, Old Spice, whatever the hell he's doing down there, on Radio Row, they'll give you a list. If you're on Radio Row, I have buddies who are on there, and you basically just check box the ones you want, and you give it back to them, and then they do an order of here's who you get. I would imagine that if Genty's on that list, I don't know a single radio station that would be like, Genty, nah, we don't want him. I think everyone's like, dude, we want that kid. I bet he's all over Radio Row. If it was yesterday or today, I'd have to do some searches on that. But if you're Dallas radio, you want him. Chicago, I mean, if you have a draft pick in the top 10, You want Ashton Genty on your show. JP's
Yeah,
waving me off. Oh, shoot. I got to go, guys. 9:50. What are we doing?
I'll remember that next time I'm saying, what are we doing when I'm Venmoing your paycheck for the month, Johnny? We'll see you tonight, Johnny. We appreciate you, man. We'll see you. He's something else, man. He's something else. I'll get a text in 5 minutes asking for a raise from Johnny. But yeah, John Gruden, the start of their show, by the way, the Barstool show, whatever they did down there, I watched it on YouTube. The first 5 minutes, they talked. John Gruden, Dave Portnoy, and Big Cat were just sitting there talking about Genty and running backs. It was pretty enlightening. So
he's big time, man.
Jay, no school today. What are you doing with the kiddos?
Might have to go build a snowman or something, but then we'll get to work here before too long. But looking forward to getting an extra mile tonight as well.
Yeah, not gonna lie. Rolled over, saw the text from the West Ada School District at 4:50, and was like, "Oh, great, great." We'll have some fun today. Yeah, we'll see you tonight, Jay. Appreciate it. Hope to see everybody there. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching the show. Go support the sponsors. Go subscribe. Watch KTVB. Listen to KTIK. And we'll see you tonight. Extra Mile Arena, Boise State, San Jose State. Live Lithia Ford to Boise pregame show at 6 o'clock. We'll talk to you then. Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com.
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, RovePaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Boucher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course.